Leah, thanks so much for that. Well, time to talk to the government, as we previewed, and the Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch is here with me now. A very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Wanted to start with the issues in North East London yesterday, the tragic incident that saw a 14-year-old boy killed on his way to school, no less. What was your reaction to that?
It's an unbelievably appalling tragedy. I was quite shocked by the story and just stunned that this is still happening on the streets of London. This is, I think, the 70th death by knife crime in the last year, if the statistics I've been given are correct. And this is a situation that needs to be tackled with as much urgency as possible.
The police of late have seen quite a lot of criticism for a separate issue, a number of separate issues. Did they act with bravery and dignity yesterday?
That's not something that I would be able to comment on. I haven't read the details of the report. I do know that some police were harmed, and I think the police should always be commended because they put themselves in harm's way every day to keep everybody else safe. So I certainly wouldn't be criticising the police at this point, certainly not until I've heard more details that would imply that the criticism was warranted.
My point was criticism over past months and weeks, and it seems like predominantly praise with this issue.
Yes, absolutely.
I guess the final question on it is just what is the government? How high a priority is it for the government to try and help stamp this sort of thing out across the whole country?
It's a very high priority for the government, but we have devolved policing powers to the Mayor of London. This is his duty to resolve, and in my view, he is failing. Sadiq Khan is failing. It's one of the things that we have seen become totemic in terms of the campaign that's taking place at the moment. Obviously, tomorrow there are mayoral elections in London, and just a few days ago, he was laughing at his Conservative opponent, Susan Hall, who brought up knife crime and talked about people wielding machetes. He laughed at her and said that she should stop watching The Wire. That, to me, indicates that he is not taking this issue seriously enough. He should have been talking about what he was doing rather than laughing at the issue.
Knife crime is a nationwide issue, though?
Knife crime is a nationwide issue, but it is particularly problematic in London. In my local authority in Essex, where we also have Police and Crime Commissioner elections, crime's coming down. So this is something that he needs to focus on. I think we really do need to put the spotlight on what the Mayor of London is doing on knife crime, on policing the streets, on public order. He has the biggest police force. He has the one that has the most resources. He should be using them to keep people safe.
We will be speaking to Labour next hour, and we'll bring that up with them and get their response. Your trail today from your department, I've read it a few times. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about today. Break it down for us.
So yesterday you would have seen the Health Secretary talk about enshrining single-sex spaces in the NHS Constitution. But what I've noticed as a Qualities Minister is that across the board there is a lot of confusion about when single-sex spaces are protected, what exactly it is that people should do, confusion about the difference between sex and gender identity. And rather than the government carrying out a huge investigation that will cost lots of money, what I've said is if people have examples of where the law is not being followed, where people are confusing, quite often you see confusion between a gender-neutral toilet and a unisex toilet, not the same thing. One has privacy, the other doesn't, and you have mixed sexes sharing the same space when they do need that privacy, women and children in particular. So we see a lot of guidance that goes out that is confusing, and then we end up with situations like a particular school in Scotland where the girls were getting urinary tract infections because they were not going to the toilet at school for days. So we're trying to stop things like that from happening by just clarifying what the guidance should be and how people should manage single-sex spaces.
I guess the only pushback to this, say it's don't want to waste money, it's not a full investigation. If you're inviting people to come forward and give examples, you do start to get into the realm of where those that shout loudest are the ones that impact government policy as opposed to what's really happening across the whole country. Is it sort of inviting transphobic comments and responses or not? Might that be the result?
No, not at all, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But this is one of the things that happens every time the government tries to bring clarity into this space. There is criticism that this is about transphobia, and as we saw with the CAS review, people have used accusations of transphobia to actually stop even clinicians from doing the right thing, creating a medical scandal. All we are saying is that if you think the guidance in your institution is wrong, let us know. We can have a look at it, in particular public institutions, and then we can help provide clarity. That's not going to create transphobic comments. This is sending an email saying, here is the guidance, this is what's wrong, and then we can see if there's something we can do.
Wanted to move on to talk about the Rwanda scheme. Yesterday, Victoria Atkins said that all 5,700 people that have been identified to be deported to Rwanda will be deported by the end of the year. I kicked myself a little bit after that interview that I used this calendar year as the time frame. What would be the response if it was before the election? Still all 5,700, or just a majority of them, or what?
I wouldn't be in a position to say the exact number. I'm not in the Home Office. I trust the Home Secretary. He has given the targets that he is meeting, and I have full confidence that he's going to be able to meet them. It's taken us a long time to get to this point. There have been so many obstacles put in the way of the legislation. I'm pleased that we've finally seen, one person going to Rwanda. Yes, this was under the voluntary scheme, but this also shows the point about Rwanda not being safe to be untrue, because people are volunteering to go. The scheme is working, as we've seen with the comments from the Irish government as well. This is something that we need to do in order to help police our borders. Local
elections tomorrow, of course. It's been interesting tracking the expectations, both internally within your party and nationwide as we approach this. Are we now in a position, passing the Rwanda bill, for example, defence spending boost as well, where it would take an apocalyptically poor result for your party, for the Prime Minister's position within it to be under threat? So I don't think the Prime Minister's position is under threat. I think there's a lot of noise that is being made by people who want to get attention. But the Prime Minister has the full backing of the Cabinet. He has my full backing. No matter what the results in the local elections.
I think that is right. It's been 14 years, and quite often we see election results that are actually going to be quite different locally from what happens nationally. I'm expecting a good result. I'm certainly going to be campaigning for a good result. I'm not a neutral person here. I think that the records of the people who are standing on the Conservative ticket, people like Ben Houchen and Andy Street, speaks for itself. People will go out and they will look at their neighbourhoods. They will see the change. Ben Bradley in the East Midlands as well, been a great leader of Nottinghamshire Council. And I think that people will vote on that basis. And just finally, I mean, I wonder whether you're looking forward to the local elections and with it the potential consequences for your boss to be in the rear-view mirror, because whether you like it or not, you are the bookmaker's favourite to succeed him whenever that date might arise. And I just wonder whether it's been awkward for you that you're more popular amongst the grassroots for your party than your boss is. No, it's not awkward. The Prime Minister and I have a good relationship. And I enjoy elections. I'm a politician. I think you can't be a good politician if you don't enjoy. I enjoy elections too. If you don't enjoy elections, even they can be quite bittersweet. I've been in elections where I've been losing, and obviously the ones where I've been on the team that's been winning. But the key thing is that this is a man who's working so hard for this country. He is delivering. He had a great speech about welfare just last week. We've had that increase in defence that's coming. We've talked about what we're doing, on the Rwanda scheme. This is someone who I think is a very good Prime Minister, and I think when the time comes, people will see that. So what I'm looking forward to is a good result for Conservatives at elections, not about myself. Kemi Badenoch, thanks so much for joining us. Very good to see you. The Business Trade Minister joining us there, Kemi Badenoch.